Yes sir, another art style study. So in the last video, I asked you guys to leave your suggestions on the next art style you guys want me to study. Let me put on my glasses and see what you guys suggested. Look, as soon as I saw Climber, I had to take my glasses back off. Cause no! I had to Google some images to make sure we were talking about the same climber. This is the climber in question. Look, I have to give praise to Shinichi Sakamoto. This is a crazy amount of detail that I honestly do not have the time for. Do you know how much time I'd have to spend on recreating just one panel? Just one. I'ma have to wave the white flag on this one. I know how far my skills go. I am not at that level yet. So you guys are gonna have to forgive me on this one. A few of you guys did suggest I study Chainsaw Man. You see, now we're talking. It's about time we got to break down the insanity behind Tatsuki Fujimoto. There is a lot to his craft, from his panels to the story behind it. But for this video, we're just gonna stick to the style. I'm honestly not that far into the story, so keep your spoilers to yourself. What up YouTube, it's your boy Double M and I'm coming back at you with the Tatsuki Fujimoto art style study. As an artist who has been drawing for a long time, and as someone who indulges in anime at a healthy level, of course, I personally have observed what I like to call a typical anime art style. I don't know if you guys have seen a similar thing. Many of you may know the basic tutorial of the head drawn in front view, starting off with a circle, then two lines coming down from the sides for the jaw, and two more for the chin. I'm talking about that style you see in majority of the art tutorials you'd find online back in the day. The type of art style you see in majority of animes out there. Ones that I can say right now off the dome are art styles like K-On! Or Tokyo Ghoul, but the one anime I think is the epitome of this style is Sword Art Online. That type of style with the mouth expressions that would kind of be questionable in real life, the style with the crazy sharp daggers for chins, big iconic anime eyes, and the actual size of their head. Like, put a circle on there and actually imagine how big that cranium is.
But damn!
What does this have to do with Chainsaw Man, you ask? You see, the thing with Chainsaw Man is it's almost a mixture of this typical anime style with a little bit of realism sprinkled in. Looking at the head drawn in the Chainsaw Man style, you can see how similar it is to the typical anime style in how the lines for the jaw taper in from that circle used to draw their head to make that round head shape. The head can also at times look as big as the heads are in the typical anime style, but putting the eyes roughly in the center of the whole head makes the length from the chin to the eyes the same from the top of that cranium, the top of that head to the eyes. Here's the other reason why I say there's a bit of realism sprinkled in. I said before we have lines for the jaw tapering in from that circle and two more lines that come down for the chin, but instead of being left with the dagger of a chin, we actually draw a chin in. The same things are observed in the female head. The difference comes in making the edges and corners smoother and rounder than they'd be in the male's head. The lines for the jaw can taper in just a bit more, with the jaw and the chin being a bit rounder is what makes the female head look smoother and rounder than the male's head. There are some heads that straight up look like they'd be drawn in the typical anime style. Imagine the size of that cranium when a character like Kobeni is bald. When it comes to the head shapes and body types in this style, not everyone has the exact same head shape, but similarities can be seen in those in roughly the same age group. There are some times where a more realistic head in terms of proportion can be used for older characters. But let's quickly go back to the head and go over a few things that are done differently overall in this style, starting with the eyes. Looking at the top eyelash, we got some curving action that can be seen. We start with the eyelash curving up, then down, then finally swooping up. The bottom eyelash curves under and up. The realism is shown in the bottom eyelash with that part representing the tear duct, just that small part right there. That up, down and out motion isn't really as visible in the male's eye compared to the female's eye. The thicker top eyelash in the female eye really makes it that you can see the curving and swooping motion. Most of the time, the bottom eyelash in the female eye does touch the top eyelash at the back here, but it's not uncommon for this to be seen in the male's eye as well, and it's not uncommon for the opposite to be seen in the female's eye. There isn't too much detail in the nose. Most of the time it's just the nostrils that are drawn in. This depends on the age of the character, of course. Now see, with the mouth, here's the thing with the mouth. Compared to other anime art styles that can stretch the face with some open mouth expressions, this style rather has a more realistic look to it. Where other styles choose to exaggerate, this style keeps things working realistically when drawing expressions. That doesn't mean Tatsuki doesn't know how to draw a convincing expression though. Look at this. This is something you see when bro's a little too excited on the 2-man. Now this is something you'd see when someone falls for rage bait and is crashing out. Is that crash out valid? No one knows. Now see, look at this one. This is something you'd see when you drop a like for this video.
Is you talk?
What's that?
Now come on man, it's just a like, it's just a like. When I say this style is almost like a mixture of that typical anime style and realism, the realism part includes slightly more realistic proportions, but mainly more realistic detail. It's realistic detail and definition that is added that is part of what makes this art style stand out, and is what's shown through the line art. There's something I've observed in the way Fujimoto does his lines. In the anime, there isn't that much line weight to it, but that simple light pen is used to illustrate some crazy amounts of detail at times. This can be seen in the character's hair, the clothing, and some of the devil's faces. Sometimes I look at my screen and I'm like, dang!
Ugly ass kid, man. I'm just like, this looks crazy, bro.
The detail is crazy. The fact that the soldiers at MAPPA have to push detail like this out is crazy. What they go through to push quality out like this is insane. We have to pray for our soldiers in MAPPA and all other animation studios. In all honesty, they're putting blood, sweat, and tears into what you and I enjoy. Not the guys doing 7 Deadly Sins though. No, no. Nor the guys that did some of those Invincible episodes. No, they're doing good. They're doing okay. Although they did lock in for episode 8. In the manga, it's sort of the same thing in terms of line weight, but the detail looks even crazier. This can be seen in the clothes and in the hairstyle of the characters with lighter colored hair. Fujimoto likes to do this thing where he draws hatching in the hair at the ends of the hair strands to give the hair more detail. And on the topic of hatching, let me show you how Fujimoto uses it. But first, in manga overall, there are different ways to shade things and characters. There's the use of tones, which is a solid gray that is used for shading. The darker the gray, the darker the shadow. There's the use of hatching, which is basically a number of lines used to give that visual effect of a shadow. The more lines used, the darker the shadow. With Fujimoto, that's basically all he does. When shading, it's just hatching he will use. And for shading on dark colored objects, he'll use a core black shading. Whatever is black will be filled with that core black, like the hair on some characters. There are some times where Fujimoto chooses to play around with some tones, but toning isn't really where he puts his main attention. Looking at the hatching at first glance, it kinda looks like he's Russian. I didn't even finish. Can I finish? At first glance, it may look like simple hatching, but you gotta look deeper and actually study the art and read a bit of the manga to understand it. I don't think Fujimoto is looking to wow us with some stylized proportions or crazy toned panels. Frankly, I don't think he cares. I feel that the amount of realistic detail he draws in these panels brings a sense of realism that kind of pulls you into the story, in a way that kind of puts whatever is happening in the story and the subject matter in the realm of reality, in a way. And with the hatching, he has his moments with it. There are times where it's simple enough to make things make sense, shading wise. And there are other times where the hatching is the only thing that kind of stands out in some panels. It's not only for shading that he uses hatching, but for other things like movement, texture, and blood. There's a screeching, scratchy feeling that comes from looking at panels like these. and with how much it's really used in some scenes compared to others, there's a sudden and quick screechy impact that comes with those panels, almost like you're actually being hit with a quick and screechy impact of a... You see what I did there?
Man, what the f is you talking about?
So after all that studying, it was now time to put all that knowledge to the test. But before fully recreating a piece, I wanted to do a few one-on-ones. I started with a one-on-one study on the anime style. Nothing too difficult, nothing that was too far out of my abilities. Mainly focused on getting those proportions right and that detail in the line art. So I finished it off with the line work and simple cell shading. I did a second one-on-one studying the colored covers that are used for the manga. What stuck out to me was the colored palette I'd observed in them. If I had to put it in words, the palette looks and feels like a very saturated set of pastel colors. The colors give an energetic and lively feel, but at the same time in a weird way also makes you feel like you're in the head of a mentally insane person. Because you are. You see, studying this art style, I've come across the running joke that Tatsuki Fujimoto is basically insane. And again, I haven't read the manga, I only watched the anime. But off of that, and looking at some of the panels, I completely agree. Looking at these colored manga panels, to me they look like a mix of cell shading and watercolor. So after the line work, I started off with putting flats and that one cell shading layer. Then did a little bit of painting on the top for more detail. Before drawing a whole new piece in the style, I wanted to try redrawing some characters from other anime in this style. Our first character was Edward Elric from Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Doing this recreation, I think the only thing I struggled with was the hair, because the thing with Edward is that he comes from a style where hair can be grouped in exaggerated ways with exaggerated shapes, compared to Fujimoto's style that doesn't have hair in funny shapes. Maybe Aki's hair, maybe only Aki's hair. But other than that, I think I got the style down. The next character I did was Momo Ayase from Dandadan. Again, another character with hair that's misbehaving. Like you don't see this in real life. But again, other than that, it wasn't too difficult to get down. I think with Momo's style, I got a better opportunity to show the way the eyes are drawn in the style and the head shape in the Chainsaw Man style. Let me know if you guys think I got the style down. And let me know if you want me to break down one of these guys' styles in the next art style study. We now come to the final recreation piece. As some of you know, what I like to do with these pieces is to draw myself in the style in the illustration. But I don't just plop myself in the illustration. I like to make it look like I'm an actual character coming from the universe. Those that have read the manga and have watched the anime know that with a universe like this, you should not watch in front of family or friends. Look, I know it's like that for majority of anime, but some of these setups and scenes are very incriminating. You won't be looked at the same way. Sometimes it's not even just the visuals. Hearing what motivates Denji can sometimes catch me off guard. I know there's some people out there holding the TV watching Denji like this. Amen, to each their own.
You a freaky frog!
But anyway, in this universe, we have devils, devil hunters, fiends, and devil human hybrids. Majority of the characters have your basic suit and tie, with some people wearing their own shoes. I didn't have to think too much about what I would wear in the universe. If everyone's having somewhat of a formal fit, I'ma have to put on a formal fit. I also wanted to tie the mask into the lore and to the fit, because you know, the mask stays. I thought of my character being some sort of tiger/beast devil hybrid that has beast-like powers, you know, power, speed, agility, and the ability to morph body parts into limbs of a beast, you know. The mask I thought of as something that is worn to hide some sort of facial defect or something. I don't know, man, I just think the idea of a mask looks cool. Coming to the actual fit, I had to put something formal on that made my character stand out. I didn't want to blend in with the others. So after a bit of tinkering and tweaking and playing around with the colors, I completed my character sheet. And I don't know about you, but boy,
He got that shit, no.
for the final piece, I went for something that looks like it was taken in the midst of battle between my character and Denji. I chose poses of us in the air, landing hits on each other. I don't know if I need to say pause there. Pause. I went for it looking like I caught Denji in the middle of his transformation. So we got Denji pulling his cable as his chainsaws are coming out. The real challenge for me was getting the accurate detail for clothing folds. Respect to those that do not need reference to get accurate clothing folds on characters that they're drawing. No, respect to you guys, because I'm not like that. So I got a few reference pictures to help me out with that. What I envisioned for this piece was overall something that was sort of like a mix of what's seen in the anime and what's seen in the manga covers. So rendering wise, I went for a little combination of cell shading in the anime and painting on the manga covers. I also played around with bright and bold colors like they're seen on Fujimoto's covers. I thought of keeping the complementary color scheme of blue and orange on the characters and the complementary color scheme of this yellow/green and pink/coral red, with the green being the background and the pink being used for the blood. I kept the blood with a little detail to do what was also done on some of the manga covers and to make it have that screeching feeling. And with that, I present to you the final piece. Let me know what you guys think of it. Let me know down in the comments if this video was helpful, if you guys think I got the style down, and if there's something you think I missed. If you guys have another art style you want me to break down like this, let me know down in the comments as well. And while you guys are down there, make sure to drop a like if you enjoyed the video and hit the subscribe button if you have not, to join the Double Empire. Make sure to check out my other art style studies and other videos. But for now, God bless. Until next time, Double M out.